Hello guys, and welcome to part 4 of AutoCAD. In this part 4, we will cover the following. We will scale objects with reference, and then we will attach some image file. We will import a PDF file, AutoCAD PDF file, and then we will cover the hatch command. We will do arrays in AutoCAD, polar array, path array, and rectangular array. And then we will cover lastly to explode these arrays and then the utilities panel. And then we will be done. To start us off is scaling objects with reference. So if I select my scale command and I want to scale this rectangle I have right here, I'll just select it and hit enter. I can specify that as my base point. The next thing it says is specify the scale factor. I have the option of OR here. You can see there's an OR. If I type add instead of typing the scale factor, and then I hit enter, you can see now it says now specify the reference length. So if I want to reference my reference length to be this length here, I can just specify the first and the second point of my reference length, and then I can scale out using this reference length. Maybe I want to input the new length, maybe as 40 meters. So you can see now, I think that distance was too small, maybe. Yeah, that was too small. You can see my rectangle is right here and it is very small. Okay, so that means I was initially working on a very big working space. So let me check my units. I can see my units are in meters. Let me use the distance command to measure the distance from here all the way to here. You can see actually it is 40. So we have done justice by referencing scaling to this length is 40. Okay, so this is important, especially when we are inserting an image. So what I will do, I'll just delete this and insert an image instead. So in the insert panel, I can come and click on attach. This is the panel that allows me to navigate to my folders where I have saved my image. So I will just click this image. This is the image I want to add. Then I can open it. And then in this panel, the only thing you need to check here is perhaps specify on screen, because if you don't check it will just be placed on the X, Y, and Z initial coordinate system, which you can see it is 0, 0, 0. So you may want to check that if you want to drop it where you are moving your mouse. So I will just click OK. And you can see now it is telling me to specify my insertion point. So I can specify that as my insertion point. And then the next thing it says is specify the scale factor. So I will not specify any scale factor now. So I'll just hit enter. Again, you can see now this image is also very, very small. So this image is image of Nairobi City, CBD. So I measured the distance from this roundabout here. You can see there's some kind of a roundabout here up to this other roundabout here. The distance was about 1374 meters, approximately that. So I'll just measure this using AutoCAD. You realize this distance from here all the way to here, it is actually 0.1 meters. That is why the image was very small. So it is not accurate. So what I will do, I will change this image to be actually so that when I measure the distance from here to here, I can get 1374. And what I will do, I will use that as my reference line, because I know the distance from here to here. I will just use it as my reference line, and then it will just the image, so that if I measure the distance at any other place, it can be as accurate as it is on the ground. that is where now scaling with reference comes to application. So I'll just click on scale. I will select the object I want to scale, which is this one. You realize if I select from inside, nothing happens. So I have to select from the margin and then enter. I will specify my base point as this point. This is the place now where it says specify the scale factor. So we'll pick the option of or, which is just typing by typing R for reference scale and then enter. So my reference length is the length from here all the way to that point there. So the next thing it says is they specify the new length. Here I will input the length 1374 because that is the length I'm referencing this image using. And then I will just hit enter. You can see now my image has become big. It is now very big. So I will zoom, I will keep zooming here until I can be able to visualize my image. So my image is right there. So now if I use the distance command to measure the distance from here all the way to here, you can see now it is approximately 1374. You can see I'm seeing 1371 now. So it is approximately 1374. So that is how you reference an image. So if now I measure any other distance from maybe this point to this other point, it will be as accurate as it is on the ground. Okay, so that is where scaling with reference comes to use. We use scale with reference that way in AutoCAD. So the next thing I will do is import a PDF file. So allow me to just do away with this image. So in insert panel again, there's an option for importing a PDF. I can, you can see it's saying that I select the PDF overlay. So I'll just hit enter because I don't want to do that, so that I can have this menu here. I will import the exercises that we did. They were in form of PDF. So I'll just open those exercises. You can see they had 2 pages. So I will import the first page. And then the next thing you may want to do here is come to this PDF data to import and ensure you check vector geometry if your data is in vector form. If it is in raster form, you can check raster image here. Mine is vector geometry in form of lines, points, and polygons. And then you may want also to tick, you may also want to tick this true type text because this one allows you to your text to appear in true type form. You will understand that when we import this because we have some texts inside this page 1. And then the next thing is maybe layers. You can use PDF layers because this was done using AutoCAD. These are an AutoCAD PDF. So these layers, this image was made using layers, and these layers will appear when we import this PDF. So that is why I checked this, use PDF layer. And then once I'm okay with these settings, I can just click OK. And then it is saying specify the insertion point. So I may want to specify that as my insertion point. You can see something is now loading. And then it has imported that exercise. You can see the exercise is right here. And you can see now if I come to the home panel, I open the layer properties. You realize this PDF comes with the layers that these are used to make this drawing with. It comes with those layers. That is kind of something that is interesting about saving your work as a AutoCAD PDF because it allows you to access the layers that you used and the colors you used for those layers. It allows you to access that. That is an advantage of saving as a AutoCAD PDF. We did that in our previous class. So now the only problem is with dimensions. These dimension lines, they will now become lines. So you will have to redo them again because they should not be lines. But we will cover dimension lines later. So I don't want to measure on dimension lines because we have not done that. But these ones you will have to redo them again because now they are lines. That is kind of a limitation of the limitations we have here. These ones become lines and you have to redo them again. Okay, so if you're using AutoCAD past 2017, earlier than 2017, you may not have the advantage of adding this PDF import. That is why I requested you guys to send me your email so that I can send you the AutoCAD we will use for this training, because the previous AutoCADs will limit you from using this import PDF command. Okay, so that is how you can import a PDF, and then you can also start editing this PDF, because you realize that when I select it, it is a polyline. If that one is also a polyline, you can see I can easily manipulate these polylines, and you can see the way they are selecting is just the way I drew them. Okay, so I can easily edit these. The only problem is with the with these dimension lines. Okay, again, there's a place we specified on true texts. You remember when we were importing this PDF. So if you don't do that, the texts you have in your PDF may appear very weird. They will be drawn in a very weird way. So that is why I ask you guys to tick that specify true texts. Like this E may be drawn using curves and lines, and then it may appear very messy. It does not look very interesting. So it is important to check that tick out. Okay, so the next thing we will do is the hatch command. So I will just hatch something from this. So allow me to copy one of these objects here. So let me copy this one. So I will copy this object right here. So I want to hatch this object. Perhaps I could have copied two. Let me copy another one also. Okay. So the hatch command is a command that allows you to fill this polygon with some solid color or with some lines like shading. That is the hatch command. So it allows you to do that. So if I type the command hatch, and then I hit enter, you can see it is bringing this panel right here. It is bringing a panel called hatch creation. In this panel, I can edit what kind of a hatch I want. You can see when I come inside this polygon here, you can see it is drawing some lines. Maybe I want a solid color, I can tick it there. And then you can see it is filling there with a solid color. If I want lines that look like that, I can also do that. And then you can see they have changed. I can pick more from here. Maybe I want these ones that looks like something like bricks. And you can see maybe these ones don't have a very big scaling out. That is why they don't appear very well. You can pick any from here. I mean, you can do any from here, and you can be able to do some hatch. There's also another way of accessing the hatch command. A hatch command is on a draw panel. I can click it, and then once I click it, I can now do some hatching on my objects. Okay, so that is how I can access the hatch command if I don't want to specify. I don't want to type the command itself. So the hatch command, let us just open the tab for hatch creation right here so that I can show you guys how you can edit these hatching. For example, let's say I have some solid color. Let me pick solid color. That one looks better. So I have explained this. You can change this to that if you want that. If you can change this to that, you can change this to that. You can pick any other option from this panel. I mean, you can do any. You can see the way it's changing, perhaps if you want to hatch, okay? So you can do some changes in this hatch panel. For example, if I hatch that, I can also select that also and hatch it. And once I'm done, I can just hit enter. And you realize that when I hatch two objects, and then I can hover my mouse on one, you realize it detects the second hatch as well. You can see there's some color that is changing when I move my mouse there. And if I select it, you realize it is a hatch for both of them. And you can see there's some grip here, which I can use to move my hatchings, okay? So that is kind of a way it works that way with the hatch command. When you copy more than one hatch, they select uniformly, okay? So there's something I want to explain on hatch. So let me come to hatch editor, and I want to explain the angle and the transparency of the hatch. So the transparency here, if you want this hatch to have some transparency, you can adjust it here. Perhaps I can just move this by dragging it, and you can see it is becoming more dark, so it is not very transparent. If I want it to be transparent, I can reduce it. You can see it is becoming more light. So that is how you can adjust the transparency of your hatch. Again, you can also adjust this right here. So right now it's not working. You can see it is disabled, perhaps because of my units, something to do with precision. So I'll just come to units and check my precision. Let me do precision of the for the angles. Let me do something like that. Okay, so I will select and then go to the angle panel again. You can see it's still disabled. Maybe this is because of my shape, but you can adjust the angle from here. You can see the way it is saying specifies an angle for the hatch relative to the x axis of the current UCS. Let me try and do this right here, this type of hatch. I can see my angle has now been activated. The type here was a little bit funny. It would not have worked with the angles. So you can see now they have the precision I set. So right here, I can adjust the angles by just dragging it. You can see the way my lines are changing. Okay, so that is the way you can edit those hatches with the angle. Again, you can also do some scaling. You realize that those lines are being scaled out, and they are also being scaled in when I go downwards. So you realized when it was a solid color, it did not work because some of these commands don't work depending on the type of hatch you have. Like for solid, you may not edit a hatch for a solid color because how will you do the angle? I mean, you see the orientation of these lines is the one that changes when I adjust the angle. So also be careful, again, be familiar with what to edit. This one, you realize some commands will be disabled because of the type of maybe the hatch you want to edit. Okay, so that is the hatch editor. So let me just close the hatch editor from here. I will close the hatch editor from here. Okay, then the next thing I want to teach is array. So let me not delete them, both of them. Let me just delete one. Okay, I may not do that. You realize the act as one unit. So this is where we will learn about exploding if you want to just delete one. But because we have not done arrays, let me not go to explode now. But I can teach it here anyway, but let me not do that. So I will pick another one here, or I can just make some object here which I want to do some array. So let me do some rectangle right there. So array command is a command that allows me to do some array, to duplicate an object to create some kind of an array. So if I type AR, I will activate the array command. I will select that object, and then you can see it is telling me to enter the array type. It can be a rectangular array, a path array, or a polar array. You can see the one that is ticked right now is path array. So let us start with the rectangular array. You can see this is the rectangular array. It has created some array, and it is taking that rectangular shape. And some panel of array creation has opened here for the rectangular array. I can adjust the rows and the columns. Perhaps I may want to add the rows. Maybe I just want one row. You can see I have now only one row. I can adjust the columns as well. Maybe I just want 7 columns. You can see now my columns are 7. You can edit the array from here. Betweens is the let me bring my rows back. Maybe let me just do 3. So betweens, you can see the icon here specifies the distance of the betweens. It is from the first point here all the way to the point where the first object starts. The first object of the array starts. This is the object that is being arrayed as the first object. So the distance from here to here is the one that is called the between. And then the total is the distance from here all the way to the beginning of the last item here of the array. So that is the total distance. Okay. So if I can adjust my betweens maybe to 2, you realize those that will shift the betweens and it will kind of expand it to be more spaced because I increased it for the columns. I can do the same for the rows. I can put 2, then it will do the same. It will space them more. And realize it will also adjust the total because the total value should also adjust when you adjust the betweens because it becomes longer, shorter if you did for a shorter value. Okay, so that is how you can edit that array. That is a rectangular array. So let me close the array. Let me also, okay, before I go to polar array, let me teach also adjusting, let me come back to the array. So adjusting the base point, you realize this base point comes somewhere in the middle. I may want this base point here. So when I click on adjusting the base point, it says they specify my base point. I want that to be my base point. And you can see now these grips have moved to that point as the base point. Then these arrows here, you can see those grips. Let me do the selection so that you can. Okay, so let me select the array again. So those grips you are seeing right here, they can also be used to edit this array. For example, this grip right here, if I grab it, you can see it is increasing the betweens. This one is also increasing the betweens for the vertical. This one is used to move. If I want to move this array to a different position, I can use that grip. I can also use this grip to add. This one is different from this. I use this one to add the last grip to add the rows. Like I can click on it, and you can see now I can add these rows maybe to 4. So you see now the rows are 4. Again, I can also use the last grip here to add columns, maybe to, I can also use it to reduce. Let me reduce them to 4. And you can see it has it has been used to reduce. There's also a grip right here. This one is used to adjust both rows and columns. You see it is adjusting both rows and columns. It can also reduce both rows and columns as well. And by just moving downwards. So you can see there are some controls. When I, okay, let me bring them back. Okay, as you can see, my cursor is carrying some controls with it. And the first one is, sorry, not controls, what do I call them? The rows and columns. If you look at that rectangle with instruction there, it is having rows is equals to 4, columns is equals to 4. So I can also kind of change these rows and columns by just typing in with these pointed in the direction I want to change. Okay, so that is how you can adjust an array using those grips. Okay, so that one has also changed that array. Okay, so I will delete that array, and then I will teach polar array. So let us do some polar array. So again, I will just type array. If you don't want to type, array is in modify panel, you can select it from there. So this is the object I want to do some array on. I can select that object, and then I will hit enter. Okay, let me just move this array somewhere there. Okay, so I have done a rectangular array. I didn't want to do a rectangular array, so I wanted a polar array. Polar array is an array for something that is circular. So if I draw a circle, for example, right here, then let me also draw another circle from, not really from the center. Let me draw another circle from, you can see this is referencing to the center. Okay, so I will draw a circle. I specify the center of the circle. Let me undo this that is allowing me to, yeah, let me uncheck that. So again, it is still coming to the center. So let me also uncheck something else, center. Okay, so let me specify that as my first point. Okay, so if I want to draw, to do some array, polar array, it will follow the circle. The array will follow the circle. So when I pick the command for array, I just type AR, I will, by default, it will be selected as the one I previously did, which was rectangular. So I will just change it to polar, and then I can select this as the object I want to do polar array on. And then center point, I will just select the center of the circle. So let me bring my center back. Okay, so I will select the center of this circle right there, and you can see it has done some array. By default, we have 6 items on that array. In between is 60 degrees. That is the angle, and then the fill is all the way to 360 degrees. You can adjust this. By now, you can guess how you can adjust this. The only problem you may have is that if you put more items, like if I put 10 items, you realize it will add 10 items. If I add more items, you can see now the betweens, the angle is also changing. So if I fix the angle, maybe I want 10 items and I want to do those 10 items at an angle of 120 degrees. You realize that angle will not change to 120 because 120 degrees is too big to fit 10 items at 360 degrees. Okay, so that is some simple mathematics, I believe. Okay, so That is polar array. So let me also show you guys how the other array looks like. It is called path array. So let me delete this array here. So there's another array called path array. So I will draw a path using this command right here. So let me draw some kind of a path here. So assuming that is our path, and assuming I want to do some array of a rectangle that is like that. So path array will array this rectangle in this path. So when I come to array and select path array, I select that as my object that I want to array. I will hit enter. And then the next thing I should specify is the curve. And you can see it has done some array along that path. You can adjust the in-betweens if you feel they are so close. Again, you can reduce the item number the same way we were doing for the others. Maybe the only thing I may want to mention in this one is maybe if you want to change the base point from this point here to a different point. So I may want to specify my base point as the midpoint of this rectangle so that the array follows this as the base point. So I will just come to this panel right here. I will tick now geometric center. So geometric center will enable me to, when I move my mouse to any geometric shape like a rectangle, to be able to see the center of that rectangle. Okay, so you can see it is giving me that geometric center option. So I'll just click and you can see now the path array has changed the base point to the geometric center. So that is all about arrays that I wanted. That is all I wanted to teach about arrays. Now we can explode these arrays. So I can just type X or explode. So explode, what explode does, it will allow you to edit each item individually, because you realize if I select the array, it will select everything. So to explode is kind of to separate those objects in that array so that they don't select uniformly. For some reason, you may want to maybe do some editing of an item in an array. So to explode will allow you to edit only one item. They will not select as uniformly as they select right now. So I can just type X for explode. Then I will hit enter. I will select that, and then I will hit enter. And then you realize now that array has been exploded. These are selecting as different items. Okay. So that is exploding. You can explode any other thing. You can explode at maybe a polyline. If you drew something using a polyline, for example, if I draw some rectangle here using polyline, let me close that one there. So you realize it is selecting all lines. So if I want to explode those lines, I can just type X, and then I select that object, and then I can hit enter. You realize now it will be selecting individual lines because that line has been exploded. So that is how we explode arrays. And that is also how you explode polylines. You can explode hatches, you can explode blocks. So let us try exploding this block, this hatch we did here. You realize it is selecting both of them. Sorry, that was not the. So let me select that array, a hatch. You can see it is selecting both when I select one. So when I type explode, so when I type X for explode, and then I select that, and then I hit enter, it will explode them. They will not now be selecting. They will not be select. It will not be selecting both of them. And you can see it has even exploded those lines as individual lines. Okay, so you can do explode for anything else rather than just these ones that I have just mentioned here. So let me rush now to the last thing we will cover today, which is the utilities panel. When I open the home tab, there's a panel here called the utilities panel. This panel contains the measure tool, and there are very many ways of doing measurement. Distance, radius, angle, area, volume. You can do all those measurements. So by default, it is the distance that is checked. I can check radius as well. I can check angle as well. I can check area as well. I can check volume as well. So let me start with distance. So if I want to measure the distance from here to here, I can use that utilities function by just clicking here and then here. You can see that is 1 unit. And then you can see there's a panel that comes here that allows me to shift to measuring radius, to measuring angle, area, volume, just the way I was doing it here. So perhaps I may want to measure an angle this time. So for you to be able to measure an angle, by default, we should select two lines. Okay, so maybe I select this line. Okay, these let me use a different object. So let me draw a line. I want to measure some angle here. So when I come to measure and then I pick angle, by default it will tell me to specify the vertex, and then this should be 2 vertices. So this is the first line and then the second line, because the angle will lie between 2 lines. So when I click the second line, it can now give me the angle now is 47 degrees. So that is how we measure angles. I can also measure something else like area. For example, let me do area now. I will just come to measure and then select area. And then I want to measure, this is my first corner. And then this is my next corner. I want to measure the area of that polygon. So I will just specify those corners the way they are. And then that point. And then I will hit enter. You can see now the area is 0.8 units. Our units, remember, are in meters. So that area is 0.8 square meters. Okay, you realized I did not do some justice here. That is why it is not very accurate. But anyway, try to be as accurate as possible when you're doing your measurements again. So that is how you measure area. You can do the same for volume. You can do the same for radius. So radius will be the radius of a circle. So it follows the same procedure. For the purpose of keeping this video short, I will not do that. They work the same way. Okay. So there's something else in this utilities panel called quick select. So this quick select is a panel right here that allows me to select objects based on some what do I call it? Like they have the same properties, the same filters, based on filters. Let me say filters. So maybe based on items of the same color, items of the same layers, items of the same line type, I can select them by just, for example, if I use color and then I hit OK, it will select items that have the same color. You realize everything was in white, so everything was selected that way. So that one allows you to kind of select items using the items with the same filters. Okay. So there's another thing which I will mention as I conclude, which is this right here called a quick calculator. So when I click on quick calculator again on the utilities panel, it opens a calculator which can do basic calculations like 8 times 9. Then I can hit equals. You can see that is 72. And then I can change maybe this calculator to be to be able to calculate more complex calculations. So this one may be useful. Maybe if you are working with distances, you want to access some calculations, you can use this calculator. It comes here in AutoCAD to allow you to do some calculations. Okay, so that is it for today's class. We have done quick select, we have done quick calculator, we have done measure in utilities panel. We have also done exploding arrays. That means we have done arrays. We did arrays first, and then we did the types of array, the path array, the polar array, and the rectangular array. We have done some hatch. We have also done importing PDF files and then scaling with reference where we used an image. Okay, so that is it for this class. We will continue the next class, the next part in our next class. So this is where we look at this annotate panel. and we will work on dimensions in that class. And then we will be winding up, because now that will be our last class. So let us meet in the next session. So for now, I say goodbye.